I think you're in a better place than you think, but I also think you might be overthinking some of this. Now, to do the teeth, I would not be using the duplicate special. I would be utilizing just a copy function. All right, so hold shift, move it over to the right click, adjust my vertices, pull these over a little bit. Done. Just that simple. Certain things don't need to be absolutely symmetrical. A body, a face, you tend to want it to be symmetrical because as it looks on one side, it should look on the other side. Now, with regards to something like, say, a zombie, what you would usually do is you start out modeling it, so everything's symmetrical, and then later, once you freeze this or you get rid of the, you delete your history, to basically lock it in and say, now I want both sides to be one solid thing, that's where you would come in and then start messing with one side versus the other to make it unique on one side versus the other. So I would say, if anything, don't overthink that part so much. Just get in there, position the teeth, might even get them a little bit closer together in certain spots on one side, but have a gap over here. That way, it begins to look unique. It begins to look a little more customized. Now, I like that you're getting this bump of the nose, so that's going in the right direction. Now, in terms of the eye, I think you need to do a little bit of work in here. You were talking about just putting a cube in there and using the smooth function. Just use a cylinder. All right. Again, I know I've been harping on it, but there are times where you just want to keep it simple and just create a ball, slide that sucker up into place, rotate it, because this is the actual shape, or pretty close, and the actual eyeball is not a perfect sphere like this, but we use something like this because this is a good starting point. Get it to about the place, position, sizing you want. And voila, slide that sucker in maybe a little bit, and now you have something that's a pretty good reference for what it is you're going to want to end up with. Now check this out. This is where I would go back in and isolate this, because it's going to make your life a little bit easier if you have a little bit more to work with, and it'll help you get a better ridge in here. Right now this all flows in a little too smoothly, so that's where I would go back in and use our multi-cut tool and work my way around like so. I think I messed up. Yes, I did. I missed that. So let me get in nice and close so I stop screwing this up. Let me try that again since it's not working for me. Oh, hold on. Didn't turn it off. There we go. Alright, so object mode, mesh tool, and in fact I will unsmooth this to make my life a little bit easier. I think that's part of the reason it wasn't working quite right for me. There we go. Now it is locking in the way I want it to. And if you notice, I'm getting kind of close to the front edge because that's where I want it. And now that I've done that, now when I go to smooth it, I get much more of that eye sockety type feel. And then worse, when I turn off isolate selected, again, more of that eye sockety type feel with some areas that I can use to define this a little bit more. So I can come in here and probably switch things up a little bit, make sure I have that selected. Alright. And I can begin to move these things around a little bit and place stuff so I get something. You see now I'm getting that nice edge. So that will help with the look of it feeling like, oh, the eye is actually embedded in there. So I probably need to do a little bit of extra work in there. I think I just grabbed a stray vertice. As you can see, now I'm getting a much better working area. And then right in here is where I can take a little bit of a liberty. I might leave this one alone just because of the weirdness of that area in there, and there actually is a little bit of that overlap type thing or smoothing out. So that's really going to come down to you, how much of that you want. So I kind of like that better. See, so again, I'm going to need to play around with positioning. And I'm also using the rings on the eye as a reference. And what I mean by that is, let me get a little closer. See, right here, I've kind of decided, okay, that's the main area of the eye I want to keep. This. So if I lose this eye, or I can see a little bit over here, or I can't see so much over here, that's fine. Because your eye, even though it's pretty much round, it's a nice sphere-ish shape, all that is not displayed. If you look at your own eye, only a very small part of your overall eyeball is displayed. So it would be okay to have that. And even if you want to go further with it, you could, get in here. Yeah. We could get in here and pull this down, even pull it forward a little bit to begin to embed that eye shape, or that eyeball shape, I should say, actually into your eyes so it looks a little bit better. Then the other option is actually the one Justin used. You could just make like a half a sphere and use that as your eyelid. So have this that we've just done, and then include that kind of that optional, that eyelid that he created, and that would be an easy thing to do. Now, just so you see how he did that, check this out. To achieve that, you could do what we've already done. Take this, and then, boom, isolate that out. Right click, go to face. I'm going to hit A so I can see everything. Oh, did not mean to do that. Okay, perfect. And now I'm going to select, say, faces. All these faces on the one side, delete them. And I'm going to take this and I can rotate it. Okay. And that'll fit because we had it right there. It fits perfectly. So then from that, all you got to do is, I moved it forward a little bit. In fact, I'm going to shift it back so it almost disappears. And with the two kind of overlapping, I will go ahead and scale that up just a touch so it's a little bit bigger. Alright, and suddenly, et voila, now my friend, you have an eyelid. Now again, I'm just showing you a couple different ways you could achieve all this. But the whole point being, these are some of the things you can do to begin to sell this a little bit more. This can even be rougher. You don't have to have as many splits in there, as many polygons making that up. And the other thing I probably would do is probably do edge, select this edge, and then what I'm doing right here is I am actually giving it just a touch of thickness by extruding a polygon, switching that up, scaling it in some, and then I'm adding another polygon, and this time I'm just going to push that up some. See, so I pushed it up, And last thing I'm going to do is take it and scale it in some. And now, with all that in place, when I take this and I apply the smooth to it, see now it has a little bit of a lip, it fits the eye pretty much perfectly. And that, my friend, is yet another way you could throw an eyelid in there. And the cool thing is with this, you can drastically change your character's expression, you know? Rotate it a little bit and suddenly he's looking a little pissed off. So these are some of the things I think that you could play with to begin to, 1, simplify your life, 2, make your model look even better, and 3, get you to a place where you're not feeling quite so frustrated and you feel like you can move forward. One other thing I did want to point out is in terms of the mouth, something else I think you might want to look into doing is face. Select these faces. Oh, come on and rotate. That. Just take this, push it back further, move it up a little bit. That way the mouth looks a little more scary. There's a little more depth to it. Looks like he could swallow you. Alright, so you can either do it that way, or if you wanted to, you could do it as a extrusion, which will give you that issue. So again, switch to face mode, select that, delete, and there we go. Alright, so just a few things I'm thinking you can do, but I think this is still coming along pretty good. I like this nose thing you're beginning to work on. Keep it up. Keep making cool stuff.